As the Army celebrates its 250th birthday tomorrow, it's looking back on its long history. But the Army's future is now one of transition. Scripps News military correspondent Maya Rodriguez joins us live from the parade route in downtown D.C. with more. Maya, you've been hearing from experts on this. What kinds of changes do they see coming to the Army?
Yeah, well, Liz, they tell us that the Army is shifting its priorities in two main ways. One revolves around dealing with emerging technology out on the battlefield, and the other is in who they are recruiting to their ranks.
As the largest and oldest branch of the U.S. military, the Army's involvement in America's wars stretches back several centuries. But it's in the 21st century that the Army is facing a whole new world in technology.
The Army does face two technical challenges. One is Golden Dome and the other one is counter-UAS, that is uncrewed aerial systems.
Mark Cancian is a retired Marine Colonel and now a senior advisor with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He says President Trump's new proposed Golden Dome defense system will require a lot from the Army when it comes to ground-based missile defense.
The challenges, particularly of continental air defense against cruise missiles, is going to be quite extreme. So there'll be a lot of technical challenges there,
including what to do about drones, especially smaller, cheaper commercial ones that can be weaponized.
Something small, like these quadcopters that you can buy at a store, those are very difficult to counter in volume. Sure, you could use a $20,000, $50,000 missile to take down a $100 quadcopter, but that's not a good long-term solution.
That's something the Secretary of the Army spoke about during congressional testimony earlier this month, pointing to how Ukrainians recently used smaller drones to inflict heavy damage on Russian warplanes.
The world saw in near real time how readily available technology can disrupt established power dynamics. And drones are but one example of a broader shift. The Army needs to keep pace,
including in recruiting soldiers with more tech skills, though experts say that is easier said than done.
This is going to be very difficult, and my personal opinion is that the military needs access to these kinds of skills, but they don't need to put them on active duty. They don't need to put them in uniform. They can get these skills through government civilians, where the recruiting is much easier and the standards much broader.
Challenges that remain as warfare evolves.
And speaking of recruiting, the Army Secretary said they met their recruitment goal months earlier than expected this year, adding another 61,000 soldiers to the Army. Liz?
Maya, we've heard a lot over the years about the U.S. military pivoting its focus to Asia with less of that focus on Europe. Where does that leave the Army in this?
Yeah, the experts we spoke to say that pivot to Asia will really be a challenge for the Army, and that's mainly because that pivot involves issues that are more maritime related, things that would normally involve the Navy, perhaps sometimes the Air Force. Of course, the Army is a land-based part of the military, so right now they say that is going to be a big challenge for the future of the Army and what it does next, as opposed to it just being based around the world, especially in parts of Europe, Liz.
Scripps News military correspondent Maya Rodriguez live for us in Washington. Thank you so much, Maya, for that report.